Now, back on the show is undefeated UFC bantamweight prospect Manny Bermudez. What's going on, Manny?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. Same old thing. I know you've been talking with other guys about the Uriah Faber matchup. It was supposed to happen, it didn't happen. Eventually, that fight went to Ricky Simone. We all know what happened in that fight. Faber got a knockout, which is very rare. If you look at his past, do you think the UFC gave Faber a favorable matchup in this return?
I think it's a more favorable matchup than I would have been. I think style wise, I think Faber's tough for anybody, but I think that I would have been uh, a tougher one for him to deal with than Ricky. I think it was kind of a little bit more handpicked for an opponent that kind of fit his build a little bit more.
Definitely, definitely. Now your last fight was in February. You got the first round finish. What have you been doing, to keep yourself busy? Because you've been out for a few months now.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm always training. I'm always doing stuff like that. I took a trip down to the PI back in March or something like that, March, May. And then, I've been lifting a lot of weights, just training, getting in shape, all that stuff. So it's funny because I was actually doing a lot of really, really hard training before I even knew my fight was coming on. And then, I worked from there and then just, adjusting everything just for the couple weeks that I had left for the fight to be happening.
Why did you decide to visit the PI? Was it for more like the diet aspect or for strength and
Yeah.
conditioning? What was it for?
Yeah, it was a little bit more for the diet aspect. They have good information over there, and it was good to just touch base with them and see what they have to say about everything. All really nice people over there too. So
What did you find out about your diet that you're surprised about?
I was surprised about. Honestly, not much. They said a lot of stuff that I already knew in my head that was going on with me. Big bantamweight. Um, pretty strong in the places I thought I was strong in, and then not strong in the areas I didn't think I was strong in. So, I was able to work on a couple of those little weaknesses, and then hopefully come back a little sharper, a little, a little more, fine tuned.
Did you get in any training while you're out in Las Vegas, with anybody? Because, a lot of times I talk to fighters, they're talking about when they do visit the PI, they run into other fighters and they get to train with guys that they never trained with.
Yeah, no, I was kind of solo, so I just did my PI stuff, and then just hung out a little bit over there because I also didn't have a fight, so I didn't want to like overload myself too if I wasn't like in a fight camp.
After the PI, did you visit any gyms outside your local, places where you train?
No, no, I didn't. I'm still in my home gym, but we got a couple guys that came in. Some good wrestlers, some good kickboxers. I've been working with all of them. I actually even started working out with a couple of old opponents of mine, and it's nice to get like a different look from somebody that I fought already, and just seeing how it changed over the years. What I've gotten better at, all these strengths and weaknesses, and all that. So
Who have you brought in? Old
uh,
opponents.
this guy Saul Almeida, me and him fought. So I only went to a decision twice in my professional career, and he was the last guy I went to a decision with, and it was a split decision. It was a close fight, and he just had like a weird, tricky style for me to deal with, and so he asked me to train, and I was like, all right, cool. So we've been doing rounds, and he's tricky too because I think he's like 6'1", 6'2". He's a 45er. Um, he's just very awkward, very lanky. So I got to work with him a lot, but it's a complete opposite style of the guy I'm fighting. So, but that was weeks before the fight even was announced. So
Well, I think it doesn't matter because eventually you'll fight somebody that is longer, linkier, in the
yeah,
future. So I guess that will come back to you, beneficially. It will come back to you later on.
yeah. Although I mean I don't know how many 6 foot 6 foot tall bantamweights there are, and if they're 6 feet tall, I don't think they're that thick. I think he was walking around like 190, 180, something like that. So I don't think bantamweights get that big.
In the future, you could, take a short notice fight at featherweight. You never know what could
Yeah,
happen. The
yeah,
money could be right, and it'll work out for you.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
All right, let's talk about your
Yeah.
opponent, UFC 241, Casey Kenney. When you look at him, when you see his performances, what is your breakdown of his skill set?
He's a tough guy, very good at in all aspects, but he's not much of a finisher, and I'm very much a finisher, So I saw a couple of things of him saying that he's gonna, take me past the second round or whatever, but that's one of those things that you're gonna have to actually get through the first round and see how you fare after that. I've been working on my cardio, been working on my explosive, all the stuff that's gonna play out in the fight, and you can never tell with these fights, especially with guys this level. But I feel very confident, very ready, very strong, very all the things that you need to feel right before a fight.
Kenny, he defeated Ray Borg in his UFC debut. It was a decision. A lot of people thought Borg won that fight. What is your assessment of the fight? Do you agree? Did you agree with the judges?
I didn't think he won the fight, but regardless, it's so impressive for somebody to come into the UFC in your very first fight. You upset the guy that's been I think when I think of flyweight, I think of guys like Demetrius Johnson, and then like a Dodson. Even though I think he's a 35er now, but then Ray Borg's one of the top 3 to 5 guys I think of when I'm thinking of the division. One of the bigger names, the more notable guys. So it's very impressive that he came in and just uh, yeah, I mean close fight, but he still won it. You can't take that away from him.
It is no secret he's gonna wrestle you. He likes to wrestle.
Yeah,
Does that kind of
yeah,
play into that submission game you have that you're known for?
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, I think so. Right? So it's confusing because I mean he's got good stand up though. Like so, I think he might box a little bit, but I'm longer, I'm rangier. He's got good pop on his rear hand. He's got uh, a very assert himself style. But if he wrestles, I mean, yeah, I fought wrestlers before. It's kind of my thing too. So just I hope he picks his shots right.
So it seems like this fight is gonna go down to scrambles. More than
Yeah,
other fights that you've probably had, and I think you probably like your chances in those scrambles, right?
yeah, of course. That's it's my bread and butter. So I mean, it must be his too, right? If he's gonna go for it, but it's trying to scram. I mean, it's tricky because he is shorter. I think he's going to be a little smaller than me, but so smaller guys are sometimes tough to get a good hold on or whatever. But I mean, it also sucks to scramble against some bigger, heavier guys. So if he's gonna scramble and then I just put my weight on him, and he's got to carry me the whole fight. He might be the one who's tired, not me. So I say he'll have to figure it out the hard way, I guess.
Yeah. When I talk to wrestling coaches, I always ask them like, what is the hardest body type to wrestle? And they always tell me it's the long, linkier guys. Whenever you wrestle
Yeah,
somebody that's longer and linkier than you, it doesn't matter how strong you are, how much of a powerhouse you
yeah.
are. It's gonna be
It's
difficult.
the
I
leverage. It's
think,
different
yeah,
leverage, and I mean, it was he's done what judo and wrestling and all of that too. But it's different. It's different in MMA. It's different with punches and kicks and knees and elbows. So he can come in and try to wrestle me, but he's just playing to my game.
last time out against Benito Lopez, you had some complications with your weight cut. What exactly happened there? And have you made any changes to this training camp to avoid, another mishap?
Yeah, for sure. We just tried a couple different ways of getting down, like a little closer because we try to cut the we try to make it by a little, if that makes sense, because we think size is obviously an advantage for a fight. You get two guys at the same skill level, the bigger, stronger one's probably going to win. So then we just mistimed it a little bit, and then but now we're very on track to be on weight, so we should be all good.
Your last two fights, they were rescheduled for a later date. Has that changed anything to the mental approach during this training camp?
Oh no, I'm always I'm always training. I'm always just ready to go. You give me a date, I kind of start setting for it. I start training harder, and then as the date gets closer, I'm just kind of, that's my time. That's my time to go and be ready for. So you could, I could have a fight and then it could be pushed back. I just think, oh, good, more time to cut the weight or more time to train. It's not like it's not a big deal for me.
The UFC, many times it's all about name recognition, but are you happy to just fight all the prospects, kind of play the long game and just work yourself up? Because you're a type of guy that's pretty laid back. You're not going to sit there and like argue with other fighters.
No, no. Like I do like talking crap, but you know, I think it's important for every fighter to build himself up the right way. I think you gotta put your time in, you gotta put your work in, and I've only had 3 fights in the UFC realistically. So if the UFC doesn't think I'm ready or doesn't want to build me up or is just kind of testing the waters with me, um, I'm fine with it, because I'm just I'm working for them. So as long as I can keep getting wins, making money, getting finishes, all that stuff, I'm happy because this is a job that I've always wanted too. So so I'm not gonna complain about doing it.
Yeah, adding to the resume is never a bad thing.
No, never, never. Hopefully 15-0.
Sean OMalley, you a guy you have had interest in fighting before. Have you been following
Yeah.
his situation with USADA?
No, I just kind of once in a while just like wake up and go, I'm gonna call him out, and then I do it, and then everybody tries to film me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think he's gonna fight me anyway, so so I'm not really too caught up on him. Yeah,
He's a young
but I
guy
think
just like you, and he's caught
yeah.
up in this situation where did he take PEDs? Did he not take PEDs? It's like
What,
it's confusing
what,
what's
what,
going on.
what was that thing called? They was taking. He got caught for what?
Ostarine or something like that.
Estrogen. He got popped off estrogen. But no, I mean it's if you have to if he's out there using that stuff, like I don't know what he's gonna expect when he gets busted. He's clearly being built up by the UFC. Um, like, why is he ruining a chance like that? You should be confident in your skills. You should be ready to go. So, um, you know, it's kind of a shame to be honest, to have that opportunity and just throw it out the window like that.
The bantamweight champ Henry Cejudo. He seems like he's going to be out for a long time. Who do you believe should be next in line, the next challenger, or should they put in an interim title? And who do you think should fight for that?
I mean, Moraes put up a fight last time, so I think having him be back in the title contention would be a good idea. Um, and then Aljamain Sterling too. He's been killing it too. So I think those two would be an interesting fight again. Run it back one more time. What was it Sansao and Sandhagen are in there too. So maybe a winner of that one. I think an interim title would be fair too, just because Cejudo's been trying to fight. He's just been hurt and all that. So yeah, I think Marlon, Sandhagen, Assunção, and who else I say? Sterling. I think those would be some of the top guys off the top of my head. I'm sure there's other guys too that I'm just not remembering.
Another big name that is dropping down is Frankie Edgar. Where does Frankie fit in the division? Does he fit it in that top echelon of fighters in the bantamweight division, even though he hasn't fought at bantamweight?
Yeah, I mean he's fought enough 45ers, and if you've been out there dealing with the 45ers, I think you can deal with the 35ers too. I think they're a little faster, a little more mobile, but they still have, 35 is a tough division because these guys still have knockout power, still have they have very good skills, but then they have speed on top of it. Uh, I do yeah, I do think with his experience, he's going to pose a big threat in the division. And I think it'd be cool to see, what happens when he gets his. I'm actually curious to see what his first fight's going to be. I think they will toss him a top 10 guy, and yeah, and I guess we'll go from there.
Would you be shocked if they put together the rematch between Faber and Edgar for the interim title?
No, I would not be surprised at all. No, I didn't even think of that, but now you said that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Jesus, yeah, no, that makes too much sense actually, because I was kind of like fingers crossed that maybe I could call one of them out, but they're both probably gonna be taken.
You know, having this logjam at the top of the division, it's a good problem, for everybody around. Do you think that it has any effect on your career?
Not the point I'm at right now, no,
Mhm.
because I still haven't really fought a ranked opponent. Casey, I don't know if they're gonna give me a. They'll probably give me somebody ranked after this, right? You think? But no, like just at the point I'm at right now, I don't think it affects my career. It's definitely interesting for me though to sit back and watch, especially like after meeting a couple of these guys and seeing them in person, and then kind of try and measure them, figure them out a little bit. But no, it's no effect on my career as of right now. Definitely later on though.
UFC Boston is coming up. Do you plan on sneaking onto that card somehow after taking out Kenny?
Yeah, for sure. I always wanted to fight at the Garden. I always wanted to fight in front of my friends, and if I can make that quick turnaround, I will.
All right, man. Well, before you do that, August 17th, UFC 241, Casey Kenney, Anaheim, California. Thank you, Manny, for your time, and good luck on the fight and your future.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. It's good talking to you.